Next, what we're going to begin to do is work on the interior walls. So now notice something that I have like all right angles. Again, let me stress, I cannot stress to you the importance. You got polar and you got ortho. Ortho means straight. Okay, so either one of these, make sure either one of those is turned on. One looks like perpendicular, that's going to be ortho. There's a mnemonic device. If you want to draw straight, press function key 8, F8. F8 will let you draw straight. Polar, that's going to track the compass, okay? North, south, east, west, okay? Either one, just make sure you got all right angles. But we've got two polylines here, one and two. And what we need to do is make each line unique to each other. Instead of it being all one polyline, all two polyline, right? Number one and number two, we need to make them all individual lines. So how to do that, you can actually select the object, press the command, explode. Explode is just above offset, just below erase. Or you can type the shortcut key X, but X will make you select objects. In this case, I selected objects, now I press the command explode. What that does is it makes all lines unique to each other. Now you cannot explode a line down any further. What would you explode it into? Pixels? No, it doesn't work that way. A line is an elemental, fundamental part of geometry. Okay, it's the shortest path between 2 points. It has a midpoint, right? It has 2 endpoints. So you cannot break a line down any further. You can't explode a line. But once I have the lines next, what we need to do is begin drawing interior walls. And this is where it gets a little tricky with the direction. So when you make copies of walls, you're going to want to be careful with the direction that you go in a distance. So to make copies, you can use right-click copy selection, but what I would advise is I'm going to use the offset command. Now, one of the ways to use offset command, you can select the object and then press the command offset or type O spacebar. I'm going to start, if you look at the PowerPoint slide, I'm going to start, let me get to it, in this daisy chain of, this later on going to become 2 closets, okay? So I'm going to, and a linen closet too in the front. I'm going to start with these closet areas, okay? So it looks like what I need to do is I need to take this line here and offset it towards the right wall 12 foot 7, enter. Then I'm going to take that line and come back towards the left wall. Be careful with your direction, 2 foot 8. So you're going to go this direction. Next, you've got to look closely. Look closely at the architectural tick on your dimension line. It looks like they take the inside of this rear exterior wall and come toward the front wall. Well, let's see here. 7 foot 11, 7 foot 11, and inside of that rear exterior wall, 8 foot 7, 8 foot 7. Okay, I'm going to kind of stop there with the offset because what happens is this line here, we're going to stretch by left clicking on the endpoint so you have a grip, stretch that back perpendicular to this edge. And then take this endpoint and stretch that back here to this edge. So this line is 7 foot 11, this one's 8 foot 7, right? Next, you can actually select these, right click, erase, or simply press delete, delete on the keyboard. We need to compartmentalize this little area. So I'm going to press offset again. It looks like I need, or actually here's the best way. Pick the inside of the back wall again, press offset. They come forward, looks like 2 foot 9.5, 2 foot 9.5, enter. Then I'm going to take that line and come forward 3 foot 1.5, 3 foot 1.5, enter. Okay. So next, what I'm going to do is, easiest way to do this, I press trim, select these 2 edges as trim. Wow. Hey, they updated AutoCAD. Let me undo that with Control Z. I'm going to press trim, select cutting edges, select these two edges as cutting edges, enter that as a selection, and trim here and trim here. They changed the way AutoCAD works. I'm using 2021. Okay. Next, I press offset. These walls need thickness. They're all the same thickness, which is 4. So I'm going to program my distance at 4. Enter. I'm going to offset the left wall toward the right wall toward the left, this edge toward the front, and this edge toward the front. Now I'm going to type in L spacebar. I need to seal off or close off a perimeter here and a perimeter here. Trim's different for 2021. Watch, it automatically snips. And just notice this. This is an update. AutoCAD updates the software every year. So slight little changes the user has to get used to. Okay, so you're going to want to snip all these, okay? Get all those snipped. Snip, snip, snip. Oh, back in here, let's see. Snip, 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 snip. Okay, good. Now, next, it looks like we're going to begin working over here. This is going to become a bathroom. Now, you got to be careful because the way this floor plan works, all walls are 4-inch except one. This is the exception we're about to come up upon. So it looks like they take the outside of this back exterior wall and offset it forward 7 foot 11, 7 foot 11 towards the front. Then they take that line and offset it towards the front even more. Looks like 5 foot 4, 5 foot 4, enter. Then they take, and you got to look careful at the architectural tick, they take the inside of this right exterior wall and go towards the left wall, 8 foot 1, 8 foot 1. Now, let me kind of stretch all these lines together. I'm going to grip this endpoint, stretch it to here. Grip this endpoint, stretch it to there. Grip, come here. Grip this endpoint, stretch it perpendicular here. And last but not least, grip this endpoint and stretch it to there. Okay, so, oh, I can stretch these too, watch. Stretch. Ah, that one got funny. That's okay. Stretch. Okay. You gotta look careful though. Next, we're gonna offset for wall thickness. I'm gonna go offset 4, enter. You're gonna wanna offset this line in and this line in, but I'm gonna right click to exit, right click to repeat. This wall is a 6-inch wall, so I type 6, and you're gonna offset that forward. Oh, come here, forward like that. Okay. Now here's a neat little trick. Fillet. Fillet rounds corners off, and by default, the radius. If I come down here, sub instruction of this command fillet. If you press radius, by default, it's set to 0. Well, if you have a radius with a fillet of 0, all you have is a vertex, and all a vertex is a sharp point. So I'm going to leave that to 0. And what that's going to do is create sharp points. Oh, by the way, you've got more than one, so I'm going to hit multiple. So I'm going to sharpen together all these edges, kind of like so. Now you're still going to want to press trim and just kind of snip here and snip here. Next, we're going to begin working on a little pantry area. It looks like they take the inside of this front wall and offset it toward the rear wall, 10 foot 7. Okay, then they take that wall and go 3 foot 2, 3 foot 2. I didn't select it. 3 foot 2, enter. 3 foot 2. And then they take the inside of this wall. It looks like the tick is right here, and they come out 2 foot, which is 24 inch. Okay. Next, I'm going to use that fillet. Leave the radius set to 0 by default and press multiple and sharpen these edges together. Sharpen this to this and this to this. Okay. Next, I'm going to draw one line. Let's see. I'm going to draw one line from here to here. I need to go offset 4. Offset this line inside, this line inside, this line inside, and this line inside there. I'm going to go fillet multiple, hit multiple in the sub instruction there, and just kind of sharpen all these edges together, kind of like so. Very good, very good. So next, and this one's kind of tricky. This is going to become a fireplace area. And you got to look closely because on the PowerPoint slide, let me explain. Let me see if I can zoom in to the power. Oh yeah, and pan over to it. All right. Whoa, I got crazy there. Let me zoom back out then. Interior walls, okay. Scroll down and kind of zoom in here. Okay. All right, that's good. They take the inside of this front exterior wall and they go toward the rear wall 3 foot 3.5. Okay. And then they go 5 foot, and then they say something about taking this 3 foot and going a foot from there and coming a foot or 3 foot from there. So you got 5 foot minus a foot minus 3 foot. This is going to be a foot on this other side. What I need you to see is that underneath here, what they're dimensioning to is a shape. And this shape later on will become what they call a fireplace hearth. A hearth is a non-combustible flooring material. In other words, this is a fireplace. So when you put logs in here and set them to fire, they're going to pop. And what they call those embers, they're hot little pieces of wood. You don't want that getting out here. That's what they call a fire chamber. You don't want it passing through the fire chamber and setting your floor on fire. So they put this non-combustible floor called a hearth. And it's hard to see, and that's what they're dimensioning to. They're dimensioning to the edges of this hearth. So with AutoCAD, you got to be careful. It looks like they take the inside of this front wall, offset 3 foot 3.5, 3 foot 3.5, 3 foot. I did that wrong. 3 foot 3.5. Enter. Okay, and then they take that edge and offset 5 foot. 5 foot is 60 inch. Then they take it and they go a foot, 12 inch. And then they take that line and go 3 foot, 36 inch. And then if you look closely, they take this inside edge of this left wall and come out a foot, 12 inch. Now, it's kind of hard to see, but you've got all the lengths that you're going to need. Next, I'm going to go fillet multiple. I'm going to fill it together this edge to this edge, this edge to this edge. Okay. Now watch this, watch this, watch this, watch this. Zoom in. I pick line command. I zoom into here. I'm not going to click here, but I'm going to use polar tracking to find an apparent intersection, which is right here. And then I'm going to come out level with here. Okay. Then I'm going to select that, press mirror, and mirror it across using the midpoints of these two lines here. 1, 2. Okay. Next, I press fillet multiple. I want to fill it together this edge to this edge, and this edge to this edge, and this edge to this edge. Same thing up here. This edge to this edge, this edge to this edge, and this edge to that edge. So that's going to form what we call a hearth. Let me give this a different color. Go to properties, color. Yeah, okay, good. So that is what you call hearth. This is the fire chamber, okay? And this is a hearth. It's a non-combustible flooring. That one's kind of trickier. And we're going to work back on the fireplace shortly. But last but not least, we've got a partition wall over here. And that one should be pretty easy at this point. Looks like they picked the outside of this rear exterior wall and offset it toward the front wall 11 foot 9. And then they offset that further toward the front wall, 4 inch thickness, 4 inch. Then they take the inside of this left wall. Let me zoom in. inside of this left wall and come out toward the right wall 12 foot 3. Now I'm going to press fillet multiple again and just kind of make this all one big long rectangle by going fillet this edge to this edge, this edge to this edge to this edge. Okay. You're still going to want to trim. Even though I'm still in fillet, I press trim. That allows me to snip. If you're using a 2021 copy of AutoCAD, it'll let you snip right away. So that's going to be your interior walls, okay? Go ahead and get those in. Very important you get these accurate. Make sure you pick the right object. You looking at the tick. What are they selecting? Look for the tick. Wherever the tick breaches through is what they've selected, okay? Make sure you pick the right directions and the right distances. Very important because when you go to dimensions, it'll be wrong and then we got to fix it.